We have NASA's Space Launch System and Orion spacecraft out on historic Launch Pad 39B. The launch window opens in less than 24 hours. That's very exciting to say. It's going to be humanity's first step in going back to the moon. Good morning, and thank you for joining us live here at Kennedy Space Center. I'm Megan Cruz with NASA Communications. Liftoff of this first uncrewed flight test is currently targeted for Monday, tomorrow, August 29th, with a 2-hour launch window that opens at 8:33 a.m. Eastern Time. This briefing is to update you all on how the countdown is going so far. Our launch team got on console yesterday morning, and the countdown to launch started exactly at 10:23 a.m. Eastern Time. Here to take your questions are Jeff Spalding, Artemis 1 Senior NASA Test Director, and we have Melody Levin, Launch Weather Officer with the U.S. Space Force.
Good morning.
Good morning. I am tracking 3 in the room here. So the one on the phone is Marvin Marshall from the Nighttime News Space Report.
Hi, my name is Marvin Marshall from the Nighttime News Space Report here on Twitch.tv. I appreciate you guys taking my question. My question is for Melody. At what time Eastern Time will you be pretty certain to call a go on launch today for those, couple primary weather constraints that you're worried about? Thank you.
It's really going to depend on the evolution of the shower coverage offshore. I think around 5 a.m. will be the pivotal time because we'll really see what we're dealing with. Usually around that time frame, we see the max of the offshore land breezes colliding, and we'll be able to see what kind of showers we already have out there, and we'll be able to track them moving towards the Space Coast during that time frame. Of course, if we push later into the window, we'll have to adjust that time frame a little bit, but 5 a.m. will probably be a pivotal time for us.
Thank you, Marvin. So let's kick things off with opening remarks. Jeff?
All right. Thank you very much. Well, listen, I am very happy to be back here again for the Artemis 1 launch countdown L-1 status brief. We've had a really good day on our first day of the launch countdown. Yesterday we picked up the count right on time at 9:53, and we started our clock at 10:23 in the morning. Since that time, we've been working really hard. We got the vehicles powered up and have been doing testing throughout the day and evening as we worked along. We did yesterday, you may have seen, we had some, I would call them kind of spectacular, amazing events as we do every day here in Florida. Some lightning things happened. We'll go ahead and I want to mention that up front. We did have some strikes that we recorded on our tower, lightning tower at the pad, working as it nominally should. And we did have those. We've been evaluating those through yesterday and through last night. And everything to date, it looks very good from a vehicle perspective. We haven't had to do any significant retest. We have a threshold that we look at to see what the magnitude of these strikes are, and we did not meet that criteria to have to do intensive or invasive type of retest. So we're able to work all of that yesterday very cleanly with our team, and our management team did approve last night that as well. Those occurred yesterday afternoon. At about 1:14 or so in the afternoon, we had a couple events at 1:16. So so far everything looks really good, and as I mentioned, we have gone through and worked all of the evaluations that are normally done when we do have these type of lightning events. And hopefully we won't have any today, but we understand the weather. We'll be talking about that here next, and we'll see what that's going to bring us. We did do a little bit of retest, which included, we did some canary circuit checks, which are really just, those circuits are there to provide if they've seen any type of voltage or things that might affect the vehicles. Those were all good. We did some walk downs, and then we did the analysis with our system experts as far as of all the data and what those lightning events were. So bottom line is we look really good. No issues, no concerns or constraints from the lightning events at this point. Let's see, so far I did mention we powered up yesterday. Later in the afternoon or last night we did power up the RF systems on all of the vehicles, on Orion, on the core stage, on ICPS. Did those checkouts and tests. Those all went really well. We finished those into the early hours of the morning this morning. We did also work our engine final preps on the core stage yesterday, got through all of those, and again, those finished early this morning as well, about 1 o'clock in the morning. We've done the battery charging on both Orion and the core stage. Those are complete. So that's all going really well and all as planned and on schedule. We are currently pressurizing our helium tanks on the core stage and configuring some of the umbilicals. We've looked ahead at the weather. We know we're going to probably get some later this afternoon. We did have quite a bit of work planned on second shift tonight. We're pulling some of that in to try to get that those events going on some of the pad facility closeouts and some of the configurations that we do on some water systems and elevators and some of those other things. So we are trying to be very proactive, looking ahead and evaluating those things and adjusting as required, knowing that we might get some weather as we have the last few days. Let's see, we are going to continue later today with some of the Orion checkouts and some of the health checks that we do on those. Those are just standard and normal that we do. As we get into this tonight, we will be working towards cryo load, and the first part of that is getting on GN2 and inerting the vehicle. We'll be working those preps later second shift tonight. At about 9:45 or so, we'll be flowing GN2 to the vehicle to inert it to get ready for cryo load. Later when we get back in, after we get done with that, sorry. We will clear the pad at about 8:30 tonight, just in anticipation of the safe and arm device rotations that we do, which are normal planned things that we do before we get into cryo load. And that'll happen at about 10:30, and then we'll enter our 2.5-hour built-in hold at 10:53 tonight. I think we've talked that a few times that we did extend that quite a while back from what it was previously, but it's 2.5 hours starting then. Towards the end of that hole at 11:53 tonight, we're expecting to get a go from the launch director and MMT if everything looks good and they've evaluated all the criteria, and we are going to be go for cryo load. That's the timing that we would be looking for to get that, and then we would start the cryo load operations at that time with some of our valve configurations getting ready to flow cryos. We start on the liquid oxygen side, and then a little bit later, about an hour and a half or so, we start on the hydrogen side on the core stage and work through that. Once the core stage is done, then we fill the upper stage as well throughout the night. We do have the pre-press test scheduled for about 5:40 a.m. That test shouldn't take us too long. I think it's been talked a couple of times, but it's a test that actually is we do during the terminal part account, and we're just going to do it a little bit early just to get some and evaluate the data there and the performance of the valve, the valving as well, so we can kind of pre-select the positions of some of those valves as we get into terminal count. So that'll help us out a little bit there. We have some final guidance system aligns that we'll be working as we're doing tanking as well. We power up the range safety systems to do some final checkouts about 2 hours or so prior to launch. We'll work all through those as per our normal timelines. We do also have some of our final vehicle and ground configs that we'll do once we get to the hold. There's a hold at T-minus 10 minutes. It's 30 minutes long. That picks up at about 7:53. We do anticipate the opening of the window and hitting that at 8:33 a.m. We have a 2-hour window on our first day. If for some reason we do have to use subsequent days, our nominal plan is to go on the 5th. The opening of that window is at 12:48 local time. And, excuse me, the second is the first opportunity, sorry. It's 4-day turnaround, and then the next opportunity will be on the 5th at 17:12, which is 5:12 in the afternoon. So that's kind of where we are. It's been a really good first day of the launch countdown. We're within 24 hours of launch right now, which is pretty amazing for where we've been on this journey. So our team right now is, I will say, super excited, and we are prepared for anything I think that throws at us. The 4 WDRs we've done in the past really, I think, have prepared us for the moment we're at now for virtually any situation that can come up. But we are excited. The vehicle's going to be ready. It's ready right now. Looks great to proceed with this inaugural launch of the Artemis program. Thank you.
Thank you. Sounds like we're in a good spot. Thank you for that update. All right, Melody, how's the weather?
Well, the weather's pretty decent this morning, but of course I will talk about the forecast for launch a little bit later. First, I'm going to talk about today. So let's go ahead and toss it off to the satellite imagery. And as we look at satellite this morning, you can see some remnant showers and a leftover thunderstorm or two from last night's activity that rolled through late in the day. Also, as we creep forward in time, as we get to around 10 or 11 o'clock this morning, just like yesterday, we'll start to see some of those showers and possible thunderstorms forming along the East Coast. Something different has changed today, which we were expecting. We do have southeasterly flow in place this morning, and that will remain the case for tomorrow morning's launch attempt as well. So one thing that will benefit us today is even though we're likely going to get rain, just like we almost always do in the Space Coast in August and September. The East Coast sea breeze will creep farther across the interior central portion of the state, and hopefully will give us a large block of time of clearing this afternoon. We may be examining the chance for some late night showers and maybe a thunderstorm or two somewhere across interior Florida, but most of the convective activity should be done for when we're looking to tank later on tonight. And with that, we'll go ahead and move on to the launch forecast for tomorrow morning. It's a pretty similar outlook from what I had yesterday, but I'm kind of slicing and dicing it for you. Basically, the beginning of the launch window, or just after 8:30 in the morning, has a 80% chance of favorable weather. As we creep forward in time through the 2-hour launch window, we just have a better chance of some of those offshore showers and maybe a thunderstorm or two creeping closer to the coastline. And also because across the spaceport, we're likely to have some billowing clouds form as we get into 10 o'clock and the 11 o'clock time frame in the late morning hours. So as usual, or just like yesterday, I do not have a backup forecast for you because that is a 5-day forecast now. I will have those estimates for you tomorrow if they are needed for the backup launch window. The one thing to note, though, is the forecast is largely going to depend on the evolution of the tropics, and also the time of day is going to be a contributing factor. The time of day for the backup launch window is around noon to 2 p.m.-ish time frame, when in general you can expect a higher probability of violation for weather, just because we're likely to have those showers and storms forming along the coastline during that time frame. So with that, I think that concludes my brief. I'll toss it back.
Thank you so much. Thanks for that refined look at the launch window.